Hello, welcome to this new tutorial channel. Some video tutorials that I'm creating for the people that are interested and that are going to be involved in the calculation of the annual catch estimates that we are doing during the tuna data workshop happening in April. So in this video, we'll see how we can use the tools that we've designed, the templates, which we call the Excel templates, which enable you to do these calculation in a very easy way. In fact, you just have to follow a number of steps and run a number of Toughman 2 reports for that. It's very straightforward, very easy to do. But you have to be shown, and this is the purpose of this tutorial. So without any ado, we'll go now in the templates and we'll go through one of the templates step by step. Okay, so let's dive into these Excel templates. So as you can see, there are three templates, one for Longline, one for Line, and Persane. So we'll open the Longline one and we'll go through this one. There's a number of things here, a number of steps, and I'll go through each of these steps, number 1, 2, 3, 4. But first of all, I just want to show you this. You have to fill in your country name here. And as you will see in many of the cells, in some of the cells you've got a little sign here on the top right corner, and it means there are some comments that have been added to the cell. So don't hesitate to point with your mouse and even click on the cell, so you've got the full comment that's written here. So it's written, for example, here, prerequisite, please fill in your country name here. You just have to fill in your country name. That's it. Just to note that we are at the moment at version 10 of the template, so there's been quite a few evolution of it. So now let's go through the steps and through the work that needs to be done progressively, step by step, for these templates. First step is the pre-ACE calculation work. There's some work that needs to be done before coming to the TDW. And I'll soon be sending a message on Slack channel about this, but especially these two first things. And if you want to learn more about these, you just have to click on the cell and you will see here an explanation of what needs to be done. So first thing you have to do here is to check your national fleet list. Basically here, this year, we want, for example, to calculate the ACEs for 2022. So basically what you would have to do here is to check your national fleet list for 2022. And for this, you will have to run a Toughman 2 report. And so you will have to launch this report by clicking on this button. Okay, so we'll do this after that, after I finish the step number 1 description. Second thing you will have to do is to chase for your missing log sheet. So it might be that you've entered a lot of 2022 log sheet in Toughman 2, or they have been imported because it's year reporting. And you will have to ensure that you've got as much log sheet in the system as possible. Not only the log sheets, ensure that the log sheet have been entered, but also ensuring that the entered log sheets, the entered trips have been verified and validated. So you have to have a green thumb for each of the trips. If you don't have any green thumb, It means in the reporting that you're going to be using during this template exercise, some of the trips that are invalid might not be used by the reports. So it's important that you check that not only you've got all the log sheets into the system, but they've been validated as well. So this report, and again, if I click here, I've got the comment that explaining what I'm saying. The report that you launch here is a Toughman 2 report, and that will list all the missing log sheets. So with this list, you will be able to chase the log sheets. Last thing you have to do, and you can do this actually during TDW, you have to indicate the number of vessels by size category that you have or that you had during 2022. And you just have to click on this button and it will drive you to the vessel tab, which will enable you to fill in this tab. But let's start by launching the first report, which is checking your national fleet vessel list. So first thing we have to do here, and each country have to do this, you have to fill in your country name here. So we'll take Solomon Island as an example. So I'm just putting Solomon Islands here. So once we open the template, it will automatically show us that it's Solomon Island. In case you haven't put your country name in the file name, at least we've got your name, your country name here. Okay. So let's dive into this report. So I'm clicking on Launch Report on the Excel template, and it will start Toughman 2 reporting and directly display the report. If you haven't logged in first, it will ask you to log in, of course, and then you will be redirected to the report. And so for this report, you will need to indicate the year that you're studying for this year. For example, we are going to calculate the 2022 ACEs. So I will indicate 2022, and I will use as an example Solomon Island. There's no this data is really not confidential, so I can display this without issue. So I'm running the report, and then what you get here is a list of vessels that have been fishing for Solomon Island under a Solomon Island flag during 2022. So what you have to do here is to check whether one of the vessels of your national fleet is not listed here for 2022. That's the first thing. And the second thing you have to do is to check if one of the vessels is listed as your national fleet, as Solomon Island flag, but shouldn't be. Maybe there's an issue at the Toughman 2 registration level, and one of the vessels should be changed. In which case, in both cases, you can contact us, and we can help you with that. That's a simple report. You can also download the report and view it as a CSV if you want to analyze it as a CSV. So this is the first thing you have to do. Check your national fleet and check whether vessels are all here and if others shouldn't be there. So now let's go through the second prerequisite to be done before TDW. That's the point number B, chase for missing log sheets. So I'm going to launch the report by clicking on the button Launch Report, and it will take me once again to Toughman 2 reporting in the right Longline missing log sheet in WCPFC area National Fleet report. Once again, we enter the year that we want the missing log sheet for, and we run the report. Again, I'm in Solomon Island. So here I've got a list of all the trips that have been detected as missing. There's 79 trips. It's not thousands of trips, but that's interesting to know that for these ones, they are not at all in Toughman 2. It's not that they are in Toughman 2 and they are invalid, but they are not at all. They haven't been entered. So, and we know that for these vessels through VMS data, we know that these vessels have been fishing as Solomon Island vessels during 2022, whether they've been fishing in Solomon Island area or outside, anywhere. But the goal would be to find these log sheets and enter them into the system before TDW. And the goal of finding these is that you want to have your data coverage the highest possible because as you know, or as you might know, the higher the coverage is for your data and the more precise your annual catch estimate will be. So it's important to chase these log sheets beforehand, before going to the TDW, and arrive at TDW with as many log sheets as possible. I mean, if you're 90% coverage and you're missing all the 10%, the last 10% of log sheets, it's not too much of a problem. But if you're only your coverage is only 30% and you're missing 70% of the log sheet during 22, this is going to be a problem for your estimations. So this is quite important. Again, you can download this list into a CSV and you can view this under Excel if you want to tick things once you've found the log sheets and enter them. So this is this report, which is the second prerequisite for TDW. Okay, so back to the template. So the next thing you will have to do, and you can do this during TDW. You will have to go to the vessel tab and enter the number of vessels from your national fleet by size class. And to make things easier, you just click on here, and it's like if you were clicking on the vessel tab on the bottom. It will drive you to this vessel tab. And as you can see, you've got a list of vessel categories, which is vessel size ranges in tons. That's the gross registered tonnage, and the total of number of vessels. So if I launch the Toughman 2 report, which is this number, the report number is this one. So launching the report, it opens the corresponding Toughman 2 report, and here I just need to run again for Solomon Island. I just need to run the report. And as you can see, we'll have for 2022, I've got the historical data that's recorded, but for 2022, I've got also the new numbers. So for each vessel category, vessel 1, vessel 2, vessel V3, V4, V undefined, and V taut. If I'm going back to the template, V1 is from 0 to 50 tons, V2, V3, V4 over 500 tons. And you've got a total, and you don't have any V undefined, as you can get when you look at the report. You've got a VU, V undefined, and it means that, in fact, 2 vessels of your national fleet haven't been recorded. I mean, the gross tonnage rate for these 2 vessels haven't been recorded, but So they are not listed in one of the categories, but they are listed in the totals. So what you have to do is to take these numbers, so V2, V3, and V total, so 32, 7, and 41, 32, 7, and 41, and that's it. That's what you have to do. You've filled in the categories of vessels by size class. That's it for now for this report, which is about the vessel count by size class. Okay, so now we're starting, and that's the TDW real work. We're starting to dive into the log sheet and observer data and all the other steps. So now we are at step uh, step number 2, which is the log sheet data. So as always, you've got a small comment on this. So you have a step-by-step guide on what you have to do. So this is what I'm going to explain in this video, step by step. But once you go back yourself to the template and do the work yourself, you can help. You can have some help through reading this step-by-step guide. Okay, just have to click on this cell. So what we're going to do here is to launch the Logsheet data report, and we're going to copy the result of the report back into this table. Okay, so let's launch the report. So once again, it sends you automatically in the Toughman 2 report. So this report is about the key species catch in the WCPFC area raised with VMS, and it's only for your national fleet as always. So once again, we enter the year we want to study. Here as the example for this year is 2022, and we then run the report. So sometimes it can take a while, sometimes not. So it's all good. So what we have here is a list of species and all the numbers that we need for copying into the table. So next step when you have this display is to download the CSV associated to this report. So I'm clicking on download, and I'm opening the CSV file. Okay, here is the CSV. So here you can see that you've got all the species that are needed and the categories and the number. But as you can see, it's not properly ordered. So the next task is going to be to order this report. And for this, you leave the cursor on the first cell, you go into the data menu and you click on sort. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to sort by category and species this report. So what we want to do is select the category first, add one level of sorting, and then select species. And then I'm clicking OK, and now it's all properly ordered. And if I'm looking at, for example, the tuna, albacore, big eye, PBF, SKG, yellowfin. If I'm looking at the template, albacore, big eye, PBF, SKG, YFT, it's the same order. So this is important that it is in the same order. So what I'm going to do now that it's in the right order, I'm going to select all the numbers and only the numbers, and I'm going to copy that, okay? Now I'm shifting back to the template, placing the cursor on the first number cell, and I'm going to copy, but as values, okay? So all that means is that it's going to copy the values, but keep the formatting of the template. So now all the numbers are copied, and we are done, simply done with this report. So as you can see in this table, you have a summary of all the log sheet catch in metric ton per species, but also not only the reported catch, but the raised catch as well. And it all depends on the coverage of your data. For this case, there's a really high coverage of almost 100%. So um, the raised catch is approximately the same as um, the reported catch. And you've got also a list of all the discards in metric tons and also in number. So this is the content of this table. Okay, so now we go to next step, which is the observer data. Once again, if you want to have the tutorial on what you have to do here, you just click on this yellow cell where there's this comment, and you've got all the steps that you have to go through in order to fill in this table. Okay, so this is also organized by species category and species, and you've got a number of fields here, which are number of trips, number of days with retained number, number of days with discard number, total number of fish retained, total retained in kilogram, total number of discarded fish, kilograms, average, some averages which are going to be really important for the annual catch estimate calculation. So let's go now into the report. So let's launch the report. Okay, so we are now in the right report, which is for Longline WCPFC key species catch used to produce the estimate for part 1 report. So what you have to do here, and we're studying for Solomon Islands, so you just put Solomon Island and select what the choice that's displayed. The year of study here is 2022, and unfortunately there's no results here because there probably hasn't been any observer trips made on your fleet in 2022. So it's not, it would be good, it would be best, of course, but it's not too much of a problem. We'll try the year before. Unfortunately, it's going to be the same for 2021, 2020. Again, it's the same. And so we're getting data from 2019. So it's very special because usually you would get still a bit of observer trips on these vessels, but I guess with COVID and all that, it's been a bit of a weird situation. So now the important thing in this data set is that we get an estimation of the average numbers and weight per day for your national fleet. So it would be better if it's the previous year for which we have these average, because it would be more precise and corresponding to the previous year. But we can also, if we're lacking data for the previous year, we can also take data from years before that. And the first year we have here is 2019. So we'll use this data set. It's not a problem. Once again, we're looking at all these average number and average weight observed. So we're going to take this. So what we have to do next is click on download here, and it will download the corresponding CSV to this table. Okay, so when I'm opening the CSV, and for this one, for the observer report, the report is properly ordered by species name. Okay, So we don't have to, you don't have to reorder this one. It's only the step number 2, the Longline report, that you need to reorder. This one, you don't need to. So what you have to do is to select the numbers and only the numbers. Don't select the text with the numbers. Okay. So only the numbers. Right click and copy. Okay. And then we go back to the template and we place the cursor on the first cell where the number are starting. And again, we are going to copy the values. So it's the small icon with 1, 2, 3 values. Okay, so once again, this only downloads the values that were in the buffer and not the formatting. Okay, so it keeps the formatting that you have in this template. So here we go. We've finished this part, and we now have some average numbers, average kilograms for retained catch, for discarded catch, and this is going to be useful for the following steps. Okay, so now the next step is the step 4, which is summaries. Basically, here we are going to estimate the total number of trips and fishing days, and also the total number of observed trips and observed fishing days. Also, the logbook coverage will be automatically calculated, and as you can see, it's already there. That's because it's taken from the Logsheet yellowfin base coverage, and this is in the Logsheet. Okay, this is exactly this one which is taken. Okay, this is the coverage calculated from VMS information, which is reported here. So in order to calculate these fields here, we are going to launch the report. So let's click on this button. And so we are now in this summary report, and once again we're going to indicate Solomon Island. So I can type the code or the name, it doesn't matter. Year 2022, and I will run this. And now, as you can see, you've got only one line from which you're going to take the numbers. Okay. So what you want to take out of it is the tripest and days fishing, these two values, tripest and days fishing. So tripest 246 and days fishing 7492. So that's it. We've filled this, and observer trips. Unfortunately, there's no observer information since there was no observer trips. So we don't have to put anything here, or we can put 0. And that's it. We've filled in this table, which is the last Tough Man 2 reporting step, and this is completed. Okay, so last step is the step number 5, which is the catch estimates. And that's where your annual catch estimates are going to be calculated, really. So as you can see here, you've got also the species categories and species listed. And you've got several parts to this table. Once again, if you want to learn more about what you have to do in this table, here you can see at the end of this cell that there's a small comment. If you click on the cell, you've got access to the whole comment, and you will have some more explanation. And you have also some more explanation on each of these these cells, but I'll come back to these cells. So you've got a blue part, okay, which is about the retained catch. And you've got an orange part, which is about the discarded catch, discarded estimates. And then a green part, which is basically the final estimates. So as you can see, from all the data that we've filled from table logsheet and table observer data, and also from the summaries, automatically this catch estimates table has been filled in. Okay. The only thing you have to know is that there's several methods for estimating your catch, and they are all listed here. Okay, method number 1, method number 2, 3, 5 for the retained catch. Method number 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 for discarded. And your goal is to select the most appropriate method for estimating your annual catch estimates. Okay, so if you need more information about each method, you can click here on the method and you will have some more explanation about this. I won't go in the details of this, but you can have more information about each method, okay? The thing you have to know is that in the end, you have to fill in here in the white column the number of the method that you have selected, okay? By default, you have here indicated the method that should be by default selected. So method number 3 for tuna and billfish, and method number 2 preferred for shark, for retained catch. Okay. But if you think method number 3 is more appropriate, for example, for sharks, and it might be the case maybe if you haven't got, if you aren't sure about your observer data set, method number 3 is usually based on logsheet, so you could select method number 3. In which case, if you select method number 3, you put number 3 here, and you could put number 3 for all of these. And what's happening as you select the method here, what's happening is that the number corresponding to the method that you've selected, so in this case, method number 3, the number is 5.5 here, is automatically reported into the retain column here of your annual catch estimate. So you don't have to do anything at this level here. You just have to select the method of calculation, noting that by default, some methods have been selected for you by default. Okay. So in this case, you can see that we've selected method number 3, which is logsheet based. And so it means that all the numbers here have been reported here. Okay. If you need a quick reference to the methods and what dataset it uses, it's also displayed here. Okay. So once you've finished entering the methods, the calculation method, and you might want to leave it as it is, as the default. If you don't know what you're doing, just don't touch it, and you would have your final estimates ready here. And here it is for these steps. You've calculated your estimates. So for those looking for more explanation about each method, let's go through these methods and try to explain what they are doing. So method number 1 for retain catch is based on the observer data, kilograms per trip. So basically taking the average number of kilograms observed, caught per trip, and raising to the total trips. So what it would potentially do here is take K37, so K37, so the average number of kilograms observed which have been retained, and taking this and multiplying this by D59, which is uh, the number of total trips. So basically taking the average number of kilograms per trip and multiplying by the estimation of total number of trips. And it will give you the overall result. Okay, so that's what method number one is doing. Method number two is similar. It's taking also the observer data, but instead of taking by trip, it's going to be taking by day. So what it does here is to take uh, the average kilograms retained per day, and it's going to multiply this by the total number of fishing days estimated. And it will give the same kind of estimation, but maybe a little bit more precise if we use the days instead of the trips, because we have a daily measure of the kilograms. So method number one and two are based on observer data, while method number three is based on logsheet trip estimates. So basically what it does here is to take whatever has been recorded in the logsheet table, okay, but taking the raised catch. So this is it for method number three, and method number five is, as you can see here, listing the observer unraised retain estimates. So basically, it doesn't worry about raising the data. It is just taking what's been calculated as the total retained cache in the observer dataset. And of course, you can only choose this method if your observer coverage is super good, or if you've got no other choice. So this is it for the method for the retain catch. And once you've selected the method, you have to indicate the number here for selecting the right calculation method. Now for the discarded estimates, you've got also a number of different methods, and we'll dive into these methods. Method number one and two are based once again on observer kilograms per trip and kilograms per day. Basically, method number one taking the average kilograms per trip observed and multiplying by the number of estimated total trips. While method number two will do it on a daily basis, so it will take the daily average observed, the quantities in metric tons observed, and multiply it by the total number of fishing days. So usually this method is the method number two is used for discards because discards are better reported in the observer data set, and also for the retain sharks as well. Because usually the retained sharks are better indicated on the observer data set. That's why usually we prefer to use method number two for this one. Method number three for discards is based once again on logsheet data. So it's a straight copy of what you have here in the discards column of logsheet. Method number four is the logsheet estimates of number of discards with observer average weight raised to total trips. So basically it's using a combination of logsheet estimates but using observer average weights. So this is a possibility. And the last method for discarded estimates, the last method of calculation is method number 6, and which is the observer unraised discard estimate. So it's taking basically whatever has been observed, and this is why you want to select this method also when you've got either no other choice or at least when your coverage of observer is good. And once you've selected your method, once again you indicate the number here, and it will automatically select the right one and replicate the numbers in the discarded column. So that's it for what you have to do for the annual catch estimates. The goal is to fill in this Excel table. So we've seen that there are some prerequisites. There are a step number 1, filling the logsheet data. Number 2, filling the observer data. Number 3, the data summaries. And then number 4 is selecting the appropriate calculation method for estimating your overall catch. And when you've done all of that, you're finished with the ACE, and you just have to submit to us the Excel so that we can review it together. And that's it. You're finished. Hoo-hoo!